Hello everyone, no respawns, hope you're doing well. So firstly, this is my build that will be up soon, but not today. This isn't actually the video, but I'm doing it near it because there's a point to that. So basically, in this video, as the title didn't give it away, I wanted to kind of explain the Workshop Anywhere mod. Now, I've started using this mod, as you can see, because this is way outside the Oberland Station build area, which I do need to redo because this is a pre-mod build and I don't like it very much. But that'll be another video. But anyway, yeah, I've started building like this cool little train thing. Which you'll see. Oh yeah, that is part of what I'm going to show you. That thing that stopped me from moving. Here's my cool train. It's going to look really grand. Don't you worry, but it's not finished yet and it won't be up to date. So anyway, I've started using the Workshop Anywhere mod. The reason being is because I have built up nearly all of my settlements and have ran out of places to build. And so, for example, like, I'd already built an Oberland station, as you can see, so I had no real train tracks to use to put my little train thing on, which is going to look totally cool, don't you worry. And I'll remove those pillars, promise. But basically, I'd been holding off using the Workshop Anywhere mod. I don't actually know why, because it's done by Andrew CX and he's incredible, but I just think for whatever reason I just kind of had avoided it because I thought it would open up too many possibilities. But now one of the biggest struggles I've had is where to build stuff. So I thought I'd show you how it works. So basically, firstly, the way it works, because it's a really, really, really good mod. It's really good. So the way it works is you need a chemistry station, as you can see. Well, you can't see it because I haven't clicked on the damn thing, but when I click on it, you'll see. I've also got FreeMaker on as well, so, you know, you'll have other mods that use most of the, like, mods just by default now use the chemistry station to make stuff. For example, you know, my solar power mod, and then FreeMaker and stuff like that. FreeMaker is very useful, by the way, if you're building a lot. So all the way at the bottom, it has a Workshop Anywhere, or maybe it's not at the bottom, but it's alphabetical, so it probably will be. And you've got these various bits and pieces. Now, I don't really give a crap about these ones, to be honest. So there's, you've got Workshop, there we go, so the workbench, that one. I don't use any materials to my knowledge, which is good, but there's also an invisible one as well, but I will get these out. We can experiment with them, I guess, because I haven't actually, I've pretty much figured out what they do already, but I haven't actually bothered. That's just, okay, let's do that. So we got all of them. They work like grenades, in case you're wondering. So I've been experimenting around a little bit with them, firstly, and they do have quite a large build area as well. I'm not going to get my workshop, when I get round, I'm not going to open my workshop open yet, because it's going to take ages to open, right? So I'll do it when in one big go at the end. But basically, for example, this one, I'll show you where the workshop is. So I use the invisible one first, which is really good, and you can move them, by the way, so don't worry about that. It's here. I put it there. See, it's in the way there. I can't move. It's right here. And it's actually basically just an actual settlement workshop that is invisible. So it's not like, I thought it was actually just the grenade on the floor. It's not. And I could go all the way down to about those trees here. So it's quite a large place. And what I've gone and done, so I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, is I've actually used it to kind of ostensibly extend the build area of this one, but it does count as a separate entity. It's not like an actual extension of the build area, because the build area for this goes over here, but then technically this means that this settlement here will kind of go over it. I am curious, which I'm going to try in a second, whether I can actually delete the workshop, and will that actually make it, so we'll do that at the end. But firstly, let's get me stuffs out. So firstly, it's a grenade, so there we go. So I'll just go through. So basically, let's go further over here. Oh, as a tip, you will want to bear in mind that because obviously these can't be connected to your settlements by supply routes, it means it won't be connected to your all of your resources. So you'll find that when you place it down, you'll only be able to build what misc junk you have on you. So for example, what I did is I ran over there, got the materials to build a chemistry station straight off the bat, so then I could use FreeMaker to basically just place resources, and yeah, so I can quickly make shit. I'm quite excited to use this, because seriously, just building stuff has been such a nightmare for me in terms of location now, whereas, because I always have those kind of like niche builds that I want to make, whereas now I can, which is cool. So like, let's say if I wanted to build something here, by the way, this is because people always ask us when I use this is like stage 3 of the demolition perk, just an FYI, really useful. So it goes like that, boop, makes a noise. And there it is. And then you can do it again with the other ones. I'll try the other one. Let's try the, so what's this? I'm curious. Let's go down here. I can actually basically just carpet this entire place. So I'm a bit confused with how it works. You guys having fun over there? What are they doing? What are they doing? I'll just leave you guys be. I think... I don't know what that does. That one's a bit weird. Some of these I assumed would be flags. Let's just... Yeah, so... If you wanted to mark a territory for your own. I actually really like the idea of those. I think... Just an FYI there, Andrew, if you're watching, which hopefully you are, that you should maybe think about making it so they're the waving flags instead. Just saying. Or give us an option, maybe. The reason being is because that way I could have loads of railroad flags or Minutemen flags everywhere. But basically, they're flags. I don't know what those buildable floor bits do. I'll try one out in a sec. We've got red post. Let's just try all these out. Just red post. Oh, yeah, so these are actual workshops. Ah, okay, so that's actually quite cool. So I imagine that floor, I just probably wasn't selecting it properly. These are actually workshops. So, for example, that's actually rather cool. I suspected they would be workshops, because that's what you saw me trying to look at the floor, because that's what I thought it was. And though it didn't work, I thought my idea was wrong. But no, they're not. So they're actually workshops, which is quite cool. So kind of in an RP kind of perspective, you could kind of go for a, like, maybe... I don't know, so say you wanted to only build on non-standard settlements, but just like, you know, like playing a survival playthrough, you could find somewhere, say like, I don't know, a little structure where you make loads of, where you have loads of chems always available, boing, 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 and then you'll go, right, yo, you belong to freedom now, and voila, there we go. So that's quite cool, I like that a lot. And to think about it, it must be just quite an interesting, quite a simple thing to do, to actually just replace what style the... Let's get rid of these ones. What style the things look like. I like the workshops look like, rather. Oh, I've got it stuck in a tree. You stick them in trees, there we go. Didn't know that, did we? So let's just show you how far this goes. So if I open up, so I have to wait now, right? Hopefully this shouldn't take too long, because it's not a pre-existing settlement, but it might take a while. Sorry about this. This is what happens when you have a million mods. Not too bad. Now, obviously, the first thing you're going to notice is that it does not have a settlement supply. What's supply? God damn it. Settlement edge, like the green glowy thing. What's the word? Barrier. Yeah, that thing. So you can't actually see where the edge of the building area is, but if you just keep walking. There we go, so it's about there. So there we go, so it's there. Which is a sizable area. My actual worry with it was it would actually bug out and make, like, too large an area a settlement, if you get what I mean. And it would kind of be a bit crap. And same here again. Now I'm wondering... wondering. Okay, it doesn't. So, you see that? Because I've got those flags there. You can't, like, bubble them together, in a sense. So I can't, for example, put loads of flags down or loads of visible settlement workshops down and actually link them together. I mean, you ostensibly can, because I can just exit this settlement and activate that one. But I think the way it's going to work, because I was using it when I went up to... Let's go over here, I'll show you. So basically, when I was in Oberland, obviously because that workshop is very close to Oberland and would cross over into the Oberland workshop, I was expecting it. It's interesting that it doesn't feel consistent in its length, because this is actually a lot further away, but maybe it's not consistent. So I don't think it's a consistent shape, but as you can see, so if I go to Oberland for a second, sorry, this is one of those, like, working out how the physics and all the little elements work, so we, you know, we're all on the same page, because like, this is one of those mods that I was worried would break stuff, and it doesn't appear to. So say if I wanted to, I can actually just do it like that. What am I doing? I don't have to walk up to the thing. Press the button. Oh, you're not gonna... There we go. So here's an Oberland, right? So, It's not a bad looking settlement, to be fair. I remember rushing this one. I think this is one of the last ones I did just before we got mods. You can tell it's working a lot better because... Oh, no. No, that's pre-mod, isn't it? Yeah. So basically you can see, so you actually see the settlement outside the buildable area limit, and I can actually scrap stuff. But it doesn't link over to that. But if I go to this one here... Oh, by the way, as well, correct if I'm wrong, but... Okay. So another thing you can't do, just an FYI, and I hadn't tried it, but I just tried it now, is to actually activate the build area, you do have to select the workshops. So no, example, I'm on PS4, and I'm obviously pressing in the little central button there. That doesn't work, so just as an FYI. This is really useful. I'm glad I've kind of got over this. Also, you can move them, by the way, as well, so don't worry about that. No, as you can see, it doesn't cross over, which means they don't conflict, which is nice. They just basically overlap each other. So when you're in one, the other one doesn't count. But another thing you probably would have noticed as well is that you can't scrap... Oh, you can scrap scum... Okay, so you can scrap some stuff. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So let me demonstrate something here. Right. So I can't scrap a lot of these trees. There we go. So I can't scrap these trees. I think that might actually be... Technically, that's weird. So I can't scrap most of the trees. But often, if you're near a settlement, you can actually go in... Basically, I can be in this build area and affect this build area. And I can even scrap some of the trees, just for example, if you just needed quick wood in that workbench. But I'm sure there are mods, and I might have a look around, that allow you to scrap all of the things. But that means that, for example, like, as a little example here, that tree is in the way a little bit. But I'm just going to kind of roll with it and integrate it into the settlement as just a tree that's there and that no one could be asked to cut down. But normally in this would my own settlement, I could scrap it. I would actually scrap those trees. But yeah, so that's basically workbench anywhere. You can literally use it anywhere. And obviously this is Andrew CX, so I obviously should have had more faith in the man. But basically he has put a lot of effort into this mod in not only its functionality, but also its flexibility as well. So, for example, like when it first launched, I think you just literally just threw a random workbench. And I think that's when I first saw it, so I ignored it. And now to actually kind of have a play around with it, it just works perfectly. I've had no issues. Some obvious things, you're not going to be able to send settlers here. I can check, actually it shouldn't appear on my... Yes, it won't appear on your map whatsoever, which means also if I go to data, there we go, so it will not appear on anything in here at all, which is just a thing. I also like the fact how these still have that glitch where it says that these have no defenses or anything in them when they evidently do, because I've already built a load of these up. But anywho, let's ignore that. So yes, pretty cool mod. I'm going to be using this mod a lot from now on. I'm still working on my settlements, but just kind of giving me the ability to kind of basically build anywhere. It's going to allow me to do things that for example, like, I just might find a build that only works as a particular building, right? Like, for example, like some stuff on the piers, for example, inside the cities. So expect to see a lot more non-standard locations from me going forward. Highly recommend you pick this up on PS4. What I did do is I did back up my saves completely before I used this. I trust Andrew to bits, but just a paranoia thing. When I ever do kind of like quite a transformative mod, I always back up my saves, and that way if I use it for the next week or two and something goes horribly wrong, I haven't lost too much work, which is grand. Anyway, as always, follow me on Twitter at norespawns. I will have this little thing finished tomorrow or the day, probably the day afterwards, to be utterly frank, because I do have some work to do and I want to tweak a few bits, but it's going to look quite cool. I've got a plan. I've got a plan for this, which involves maybe removing some of these because I have a habit of repeating a lot of those structures a bit too much. But anyway, until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Hope you're having a good new year so far. I'm having a pretty grand 2018, and yes, I'll speak to you lovely people soon. You take care.